Hi everyone, it's Sarah No Support Workers. I had a really spicy inbox this week on my social media, so I thought I'd ask a question and I'll do a podcast about it. Would I buy an NDIS business online? Yes. All right, tonight I want to talk about something that has been popping up a bit more than I would normally see, and in the world of the NDIS, would I buy an NDIS business online? Like, would I jump onto Facebook, Marketplace, Gumtree, or something random, a business sales page, and just buy myself a shiny little registered NDIS business? And the answer is pretty simple. I would be very careful because buying an NDIS business isn't like buying a cafe or a hair salon or a little bit of a side hustle. You're not just buying a logo, an ABN, a website, or some policies sitting in a Google Drive. You are stepping into a business that supports real people. I'm talking about we as NDIS providers are supporting people with disabilities, people with routines, they have their trusted workers too, people that have their rights. So people should never just treat this like buying another business package. And this is where it gets really serious. The government is now paying very close attention to the sales of NDIS businesses, especially what people call clean skin businesses. A clean skin business is a business that is registered but may not have done much work yet. Sometimes it has like absolutely no participants. They have no teams, no real service history, no real systems in place since day one, but it has a registration. And people are selling that registration like it's a golden ticket. And honestly, that should make everyone in this sector just pause for one moment, because registration is not meant to be a shortcut. It's meant to show that providers that can deliver safe, good quality care for the people that we support. It also means that it shows that the people running these businesses understand their responsibilities to the people that we serve. It's not meant to show that there are systems in place for complaints, incident, staff screening, participants' rights, privacy, safety, supports. Yeah. So when someone says, buy this NDIS business and skip the hard part, I do get nervous reading that, because the so-called hard part is the actual point. The actual hard part is proving that you are a safe and worthy provider for people that have disabilities. The hard part is proving that you know what you are doing. The hard part is understanding practice standards. The hard part is making sure that you have workers that are screened, trained, supported, not just thrown together on shift and we pray for dear life that it's okay. It's not a timesheet. The hard part is making sure that the participants that we serve are not just seen as income. We're talking about the real questions. Is it wrong to buy an NDIS business? Not always. There are ethical ways to buy a business. A good provider might retire. A founder might get a little bit burnt out. A family business might just change hands. A large provider might buy a smaller provider and keep the quality, the staff, and the participants and the relationship strong. And that is okay. But it depends on how it's done. It depends on whether participants are informed. It depends on whether participants still have choices. It depends whether workers are treated properly. It depends on whether it depends on whether the buyer is actually suitable to run a business and be a business owner. It depends on whether the buyer understands disability support, not just the profit side. Because let's be honest, if your first question is how much money can I make from the NDIS and not how I can provide good quality care to people, then we already have a problem. That's not like founder energy that we want. That is like one massive big red flag. So if I was a support worker thinking, maybe I should just start my own NDIS business, here is what I would say. Do not buy a business just because someone says it's registered. Do not assume registration automatically is a transfer cleanly. Do not assume that the NDIS Commission will just wave you through because the money has changed hands. Do not assume that the policies are good just because they're in a folder. Do not assume that the business has a good reputation. Do not assume that there are no complaints, incidents, debt, staff issues, payroll issues, or an unhappy participants hiding in the background. And please do not buy anything from someone that says that you can start earning straight away. This is not disability support. And it's not drop shipping bathed as a bath bomb. If you are looking to buy an NDIS business, there are questions I would like you to ask first what exactly am I buying? Am I buying the company? Am I buying the trade name, the registration, the clients, the staff, the policies, the systems, website, insurance, the service agreements? Or am I just buying a pretty folder and somebody else's headache? Second, what registration groups does the business actually have? If it is registered for support, I want to support. Does it include SIL? Does it include high intensity support? Does it include support coordination? Does it include plan management? Because each registration groups come with a different set of responsibilities. You do not want to buy a business and then realize you cannot legally or safely deliver services you thought you could. And third, when does registration expire? Has the business had its audit? Were there any issues found in the audit? Were those issues fixed? Is there another audit due soon? Because if you are buying a business and the audit lands on your lap 2 weeks later, surprise, babe, it is now your problem. And fourth, who are the people in the business? Are they directors, managers, decision makers? Are they even got like disability sector experience? Do they understand the NDIS code of conduct? Do they understand restricted practice, incident reporting, understand worker screening, understand privacy and consent? Because the people that run the business actually really matters. You cannot buy a registration and then magically it becomes safe. And fifth, what happens with the participants? How many participants does the business actually support? What supports do they receive? Are they agency managed, plan managed, self managed? Have they even been told the business is being sold? Or do they even understand that they have choice? Are they being pressured to stay? Are they being treated like humans or are they being counted like stock on a shelf? And this matters so much. Participants are not included in safety like chairs and laptops and crap like that in between. They have rights, they have choices, they can leave, they can ask questions, and they can choose a new provider. They should be told what is happening, the way it's happening, so they can understand. And six, what's happening with the workers? Are your workers staying? Are they even properly screened and intaked? Are they being paid the right award amount? Are they casual, part-time, full-time contractors? Is there any unpaid wages? Is there injury claims? Is there complaints? Are they like burnt out the staff? Is the roster an absolute mess? Because buying a business with workers means you're buying a responsibility. If the business has been treating its workers badly, that does not disappear overnight with the change of a logo. 7. What incidents and complaints have happened? Has the business had reportable incidents? Has there been a complaint to the NDIS Commission? Has there been a safeguard concern? Medication errors, restrictive practices, neglect, abuse, client exit, family complaints? You need to know all of this before you buy, not after. Because I don't know is not a business plan. And 8, the systems that actually are being used. Does the business have a CRM, a rostering system, a payroll system, an incident system, complaints? Has it even got like progression notes of the people that we serve? Is there training records of our staff members? Worker screening, insurance documents, service agreements, risk assessments? Or is everything living in somebody's inbox and maybe like 3 crusty, dusty spreadsheets called the final version? Because that is not a business. That is like a compliance bonfire waiting for a match. Now, let's talk about where I would go if I was really serious. And my first stop would not be a Facebook market space for a source of truth. I would start with the NDIS Commission. I would check the provider's registration details. I would check the registration groups. I would check the public provider register. I would speak to the NDIS Commission if I was unsure. I would get a disability sector lawyer or any lawyer. Well, not just any lawyer. Be specific. Someone who understands the NDIS, business sales, service agreements, privacy, participant choice, and provider's obligation. I would get an accountant to check the money, because I want to know is the revenue, the debt, the payroll, the taxes, the super, the insurances, the liabilities, and whether that business is actually worth it or not. I would check ASICs. Who owned the company? Who are the directors? Has the company changed hands before? Are there any documents lodged that I need to know about? I would check and I would look up the ABN. Is the ABN active? Is it registered for GST? Does the business name match what I've been told? I would speak with approved quality auditors or registration specialists. And I would be very careful of consultants too. A Consultant can help you with the process, but they cannot be your brain. You need to understand what you are signing. You need to understand your policies. You need to understand your obligations. You cannot buy a policy pack and call yourself safe. This is not how this works. This is how it ends up with providers having beautiful documents and terrible practices. We've seen it all. And we need to do more. And what we do not need is more in the NDIS. And here's my do's and here's my don'ts. Do ask hard questions. Do write everything down. Do get legal advice. Get a good accountant. Do have a registration properly. Do worker screening. Do insurances. Do complaints. Do incidents. Do participant communication. Do payroll. Do compliance. Do make sure participants are not being pressured. Do be honest with yourself. Are you ready to run a provider business? Because it is hard yakka. Because being a good support worker does not automatically mean that you will be a really good provider. You might be an amazing person that turns up for someone. You might be so beautiful with the people that we serve. You might have the biggest heart in the world, but running a provider also means governance, compliance, recruitment, supervision, training, risk, payroll, incident management, complaints, audits, bookkeeping, and sometimes very, very hard and awkward conversations. Now, let's go through the don'ts. Do not buy because you're excited. Do not buy it because someone says it is easy money. Do not buy it because registration is hard and this is a way to skip the queue. Do not buy it if you are a seller, will not answer questions. Do not buy if you do not receive proper records. Do not buy if the participants don't even know the business is being sold. Do not buy if the seller is in a rush for you. Do not buy if the price sounds too good to be true. Do not buy this business. Do not buy if the business has no real service history, but is being sold like a magic NDIS money making machine. Do not buy if you cannot explain the policies yourself. Do not buy if you cannot understand what registration group you are taking on. And absolutely do not buy if you are seeing participants as an income. It's not ethical, it's not safe, and it's not what the scheme is meant to be. Here's my big take. Buying an NDIS business is not automatically a bad, but buying blindly is incredibly dangerous. Buying just because you want to make money is gross. It is. In this sector, it's horrible. Buying one without checking your workers, your incidents, your complaints, your payroll, your systems, it's reckless. Buying one without understanding the people that you serve's right to feel safe. And buy one because you think registration is just paperwork. This is how you end up in a lot of trouble. The NDIS is changing and it is changing daily, and the sector is moving towards strong compliance era. And honestly, some people are not going to like it. But for participants, families, good support workers, good providers, high standards can be a good thing because we need less cowboy energy, to be honest. Less, I brought a provider off the internet energy, less the policies are in Canvas somewhere, and more real safety, more quality, more choices, more real accountability. So, would I buy an NDIS business online? I'd have a look. I would gather the information, but I would not trust an online listing on its own. I would treat it like it's a very serious investigator, and this is a person's home, people's bodies, their safety, their routines, people's way of living. And if you are not ready to hold this properly, you're not ready to buy a business. It's that simple. Thank you for listening to Sarah No Support Workers today.